Hi students, good morning. Today's lesson is John Agard's poem Half Caste. The poem explores the use of the word half caste, a derogatory term referring to people of mixed race. The poem provides a tongue-in-cheek exploration of what half caste means. Agard also uses very little punctuation throughout the entire poem, lending a sense of urgency to the speaker's response. He is obviously very passionate about this topic, and he feels the need to rush in order to fully defend himself as a half caste. Excuse me. Standing on one leg. I'm half caste. Explain yourself. Why you mean? When you say half caste. You mean when Picasso mix red and green is a half caste canvas. Explain yourself. Why you mean? When you say half caste. You mean when light and shadow mix in the sky is a half caste weather. Well, in that case, England weather nearly always half caste. In fact, some o dem cloud. Half caste till dem overcast. So spiteful dem don't want a sun pass. Ah ras. Explain yourself. Why you mean? When you say half caste. You mean Tchaikovsky. Sit down at our piano. And mix a black key with a white key. Is a half caste symphony. Explain yourself. Why you mean? Are listening to you with the keen. Half of MIH ear. Are looking at you with the keen. Half of MIHI. And when I'm introduced to you, I'm sure you'll understand why I offer you half a hand. And when I sleep at night, I close half a eye. Consequently, when I dream half a dream. And when moon begin to glow, I half caste human being. Cast half a shadow. But you come back tomorrow. With the whole of you eye. And the whole of you ear. And the whole of you mind. And I will tell you the other half of my story. John Agard is of Afro-Guyanese descent, and his mixed-race upbringing is probably his inspiration for writing this poem. Agard utilizes repetition throughout his passages, constantly asking the person to whom he's speaking to, explain yourself, what you mean, when you say half-caste, before giving his examples of what the term half-caste could possibly mean. The second and third stanzas are filled with metaphors. The poet wonders whether the artist Picasso mixing red and green paints creates a half-caste canvas. He asks if the classical musician Tchaikovsky playing both the black and white keys of a piano is a half-caste symphony. The poet compares the state of being half-caste to cloudy weather. England weather notoriously cloudy and rainy is nearly always half-caste. By identifying a shared trait with the English sky, the poet emphasizes his own Englishness. The last line, "Ah ras," is especially angry. This phrase is a Creole term that translates to, my ass, something someone says when they are angrily dismissing another person's argument. The poet opens the poem by taking the term half-caste literally, joking that being half-caste means the speaker is stuck standing on one leg. In the third stanza, the examples of half-caste cease, and the tone comes increasingly angry and accusatory. The speaker takes an inward glance at himself, telling the reader that because he's only half, he can only listen with half his ear, offer half a hand when someone needs help, and dream with his eyes only half closed, Agard writes. In the final 6 lines of the poem, Agard says he is only half a human being who casts only half a shadow, but the other person in the poem can come back tomorrow with his whole self, his eyes, ears, and minds. This poem is brimming with sarcasm. Agard tells the person to whom he is addressing that if we're to come back tomorrow, the speaker will tell him the other half of his story. Agard writes, and I will tell you the other half of my story. These words are quite powerful. Agard is telling his reader that his race is not his full story. There is so much more to him than what one sees at first glance. The poem ends with a note that the speaker's racist questioner deserves only half of the speaker's respect and attention. Thank you, students. Today's lesson is over. Let us meet in the next class.